Welcome to a brand new episode in the Science and Technology Unleashed series. My name is Rahel Ramzanli, and I will be your host for this episode. Maulana Hazimam has said, the most important thing we can learn or teach at any school in a world of perpetual change is the ability to go on learning. None of us have all the answers. Quite often, we don't even know what questions to ask. Nor can we discern the road ahead by looking in a rearview mirror. Past lessons must constantly be renewed and reapplied as we adapt to new technologies and new expectations. He also said, the ability to use communication and information technology is now a critical part of the learning, as well as an essential qualification for eventual application in the workplace. Join us as we discover the field of science, technology, engineering, and math, better known as STEM. Our first guest is Saif Panjwani, CEO and founder of STEM Encounters, Inc. A high school student passionate about STEM, he specifically studies the field of material science and engineering. And currently, he's researching biomaterials at the Structural DNA Nanotechnology Laboratory at NYU. As the recipient of the 2020 Top 100 Visionaries in Education from Global Forum for Education and Learning, he uses his nonprofit STEM Encounters, the app he has created, and his book to spread both the fields to a broader scale.
Hello, my name is Stampede Initiative and I'm a senior at Great Neck South High School. A lot of my work goes towards making sure that everyone has access to STEM resources, and my initiatives in STEM education are only a testament to that. I try to kind of break the boundaries that so many people have set, unfortunately, in STEM and STEM education for anyone to learn and converse. My platform, my 501c3 nonprofit, STEM Encounters, is an example of how I use different areas of STEM to further the knowledge of people who access my nonprofit resources, my 501c3 nonprofit resources. In STEM Encounters, we have a lot of blog posts, online courses, interactive events, podcasts, interviews with MSc professionals. MSc is an abbreviation of Material Science and Engineering, a passion of mine. And it's a platform for everyone to learn and converse, for people to talk, for people to enjoy themselves, but also learn something new, learn something that they haven't been able to in a while, and with no fees and completely open source. Another aspect, another component of my initiative into STEM education is my book, centered on Material Science and Engineering, a subject I'm really passionate about in STEM specifically. The book dives into the different concepts of material science and engineering. The book is called The Composed World, The Journey of Material Science and Engineering, and in each chapter I discuss the fundamental basics of the field. But I didn't want everyone to learn in a way that was kind of textbook, because that's not really personal. And I want to create that personal connection because I feel like that personal connection allows the reader and the audience, the reader, whoever, along with me, to have a more personal connection, and that personal connection can further their passion in material science and engineering if they choose to go to that. So what I did was, in between each chapter, there's something that I like to call breaths, where I talk about research I've done at Columbia University at NYU, transcriptions of podcasts I've hosted, some of my blog posts I've written for STEM Encounters, and just overall a more personal connection so people can understand how I think about the field, so they can have that connection that furthers their passion in material science and engineering. Another thing that I do that promotes material science and engineering education and material science and engineering growth is my Stampede Initiative in my Stampede chapter in Great Neck, Long Island, where I live. Stampede stands for the Society for the Advancement of Material and Process Engineering, and it was a community so I can inspire other students from middle school to high school to get involved in material science and engineering in conjunction with their passions. They learn about the basics of the field throughout 1 month, and then for the next couple of months they research MSc in conjunction with the passion that they have. For example, artificial intelligence, neuroscience, fields that maybe environmental stability, fields that they're really passionate about and have so much aspect in material science engineering that allows them to deepen the passion for both fields, not just one, and furthers their research that they started by themselves. STEM education is the foundation of our world. It's the reason our world has progressed so much and will continue to progress over time. It allowed people to think critically and think methodically, but also approach problems in a different way so that they can solve these problems and go into bigger ones. STEM encompasses everything that we really know and love throughout the society. Everything that we created, every device, everything is because of STEM. And it's really important that we understand how important this is and how important it is for others, the next generation and other students to learn it, to grow on it, and to feed a passion in it so they can be the ones innovative and creating solutions to the world's biggest challenges, because STEM has all those. It's really also important for parents to get their children involved in STEM, and especially even in STEM education, teaching others about STEM. STEM, as I said before, is so fundamental in our society and allows so many people to think differently and to think critically and to think properly, that not having your child have access to it is something that shouldn't happen. Everyone should have access to it, and everyone should be able to use them as the world goes forward. So in my public high school and my local communities, I saw a lot of people who didn't have access to adequate STEM resources, or not as much that I would like to have seen. Of course, there are a lot of online courses where people can access information online, everything is there, but a lot of it was backed by a fee. And while not all of it was, I want to make sure that the information that was backed by a fee was still, in a way, open source. So STEM Encounters creates its own online courses, creates its own content, so that a lot of the STEM portions, the STEM fields, can come to fruition on our website and allow other students and people to come to our website and come to our nonprofit to learn and to enjoy its resources completely free and open source. There's a multitude of courses and videos out there for you to learn and for you to absorb, for information for you to obtain. Me personally, I've learned from textbooks, online courses, videos, YouTube videos that I've watched, research papers that I've read, and all this information that's out there. As long as you look for the information that's out there, it will come to you. Whether it be my resources from my book, my nonprofit, or some other resource, as long as you learn about STEM and develop your passions further, that's more than enough. But also by taking these passions, you also need to make sure you apply them. The best way that I found to make sure that you learn the most out of whatever you're passionate about in STEM is ultimately to apply those resources. Do your own programming projects, do your own coding projects, create your own mechanisms, robots, do your own research projects by yourself. Consult the people, talk to people about your research, talk to people about programming, and just go out there in the community, talk to people, and create your own projects. Because the most learning you can do is by doing something yourself. Aside from connections, it's important to make sure that you have information from other sources. Read journals, read research papers, read scientific current events of the field that you're passionate about, to learn more about how people are doing in the field, what has been done with the field, and what you can possibly do with the field that you're passionate about. Currently, I'm researching on a team at the NYU Structural DNA Nanotechnology Laboratory. We're looking how we can use thermodynamic properties, free energy, enthalpy, and entropy to determine the DNA structure, stability, and stiffness, to see how we can use that information to apply it to concepts like nanofabrication and nanorobotics to progress the world that we live in through organic structure. Specifically, I created an algorithm in Python that takes in a DNA sequence, for example, AATTCCGG, takes that information in and goes through a certain amount of calculations, a certain amount of data points, and extracts information about the free energy, enthalpy, and entropy. Extracts those values and just spits them back out. Our main goal is to see how we can use these thermodynamic information, about the thermodynamic properties in DNA structures, to see how their stability is dependent on them. Is it all three? Is it none of them? And what that means for progression in nanorobotics and nanofabrication. When I was getting involved in laboratory research, I reached out to maybe 20 to 30 people, different professors, laboratory research, so I can just go research with them. A lot of them didn't respond, and that will happen. You have to keep on reaching out and making sure you're really, really committed. Making sure you're actually knowledgeable about the subject that you want to research in is also really important. Through the online courses and online resources that we have so much of, you need to make sure you're knowledgeable about these and then reach out to these people. And then after that, hopefully you can get on a research team, and once you do, you'll create valuable connections and learn so much valuable information that will take you for the rest of your life. I'm very interested in a field called Material Science and Engineering, or MSE for short. MSE combines chemistry, physics, and engineering and puts it together to create the world that we see around us. Every single project, mechanism, structure, device has been influenced by material science and engineering. It's built up, its fundamental structure is because of MSE and what it allows. And I'm really interested in how this works and what it means for the future. As the society develops, more structures and more devices need to be created to keep up with how society is developing. And MSE is the key to all of that. I believe MSE has the power to transcend the world, and that is why I'm so passionate about it and so passionate for others to learn about a field that can change and will change the world in the future.
It was interesting to hear and learn. The most learning you can do is by doing something yourself. Our next guest is Saira Ghulamani. She studies strategic management at Harvard University and has a Master's of Governance and Public Affairs from University of Queensland and a Bachelor's of Art in the Economics from University of Calgary. She is excited about STEM education with learning through play and using futuristic technology, including robotics and AI for social impact.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with you and having this conversation. I'm truly delighted to be here. So thank you very much. My name is Saira Ghulamani, and I am the founder of Small Bricks Club based in Dubai, UAE. I did my studies in strategic management from Harvard, and prior to that did my master's in governance and public affairs from the University of Queensland, and prior to that did my bachelor's in arts in economics from University of Calgary. I'm really excited about STEM education, especially learning through play and using futuristic technology including robotics and AI for social impact. And this is what I do at Small Bricks Club. I teach robotics, coding and AI using Lego. At Small Bricks, we empower children, especially disadvantaged children. I've been in this field for the last 5 years. I switched from the corporate world to do Lego and STEM education, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. My son inspired me to look at the world of Lego, and with that I started looking very, very closely at STEM education. I realized soon enough the importance of STEM in our everyday lives, and since then have been teaching using play. They say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Well, in the world of STEM, there is no time to be dull. We started with a small group of youth in UAE and have since grown our numbers and reach across borders. We have successfully participated in the first Lego League competitions in the Gulf region and conducted various trainings in STEM education and robotics in Dubai, Kuwait, Berlin, and Mumbai, to name a few. Working with children with different backgrounds, language skills, and school systems has been invaluable. But to me personally, the most rewarding experience was teaching robotics to an all-girls orphanage, where perhaps access to such programs would have been difficult. STEM education was new for them. So, coming around to what is STEM education? STEM is just not an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but an education method that integrates all these subjects. It is all interconnected, and there is STEM in almost everything that we do. One of the focus areas of my teaching has been STEM to students with different abilities. We've conducted programs for students with different language abilities, and also students who are autistic. Autistic children are masters of systems. They like routines and they follow instructions. In our program, using Lego for autistic children, we found that they learned to design, build, and also code their own robots. A huge step towards STEM. The future workplace with STEM is exciting. It'll provide millions of opportunities in STEM or STEM-related activities. The questions are you ready to take this opportunity? Do you have the skills to take this? Do you want to learn the skills? We've all been listening to lots and lots about the 21st century skills. Everyone's talking about the competencies and foundational literacies and character qualities and ICT and numeracy and all that together. Putting it all together, let's look at STEM. Workplace for the future. For example, in Australia, 65% of today's primary school students will end up in jobs that haven't even been invented yet. 75% of them are in the fastest growing industry of STEM. The countries with the most STEM graduates are China, USA, India. It really is growing at a very, very rapid pace. STEM is not rocket science and is often seen to be something only for old children. Young children too can start with STEM early in their lives. Science experiments, robotics, coding is now available for young children. For example, I teach coding using Lego to children as young as 4 years old. Children love to play, and what better way to teach them using the methodology of play? It gives us the tools to explore, question, navigate in, and even invent the world we live in. Skills that can and will be applied in every field of work and play. So STEM is there for you, for young children as well. We have many success stories with our STEM initiatives, but there are three that stand out for me. One is watching autistic children design, build, and code robots was perhaps the most gratifying experience in STEM. Teaching a group of disadvantaged students about Lego was a game changer in their lives and mine. They had never seen Lego and are now building mini robots using Lego. Winning the first Lego League Award for Innovative Solutions by our Dubai youth in January 2020, this was again one of the most satisfying experiences for me in my journey with STEM and STEM education. For me, STEM is the springboard to many opportunities in the future. It's not only the science, the technology, the engineering and mathematics, but it's a permutation and combination of these. There is something for everyone, and everyone doesn't have to become a scientist or an engineer. There are lots of professions related directly or indirectly to STEM. While we've had many successes, we've had our failures too. My most successful failure was when our youth team entered a robotics competition in 2018 and we didn't qualify. We didn't lose hope and continued to persevere. We entered the competition in 2019 again. Again, we did not qualify. We did not lose hope and continued to persevere. It prompted us to look at what we were learning a little more closely and enabled us to explore the world of robotics so that the following year we not only qualified but won an award. Bottom line was, we did not lose hope. I've had an interesting journey with STEM education, and my message to everybody would be, take charge of STEM, and there is STEM that everybody can do. And my advice would be, just if you're interested in it, have a look. It's not only something that boys do or older kids do. It can start young, and there is no gender requirement to do STEM. Thank you so much.
How fabulous to hear about the efforts being made to bring STEM education to a diverse group of people, including those with autism and Down syndrome. In a letter titled, "What Have We Forgotten in Islam?" from 1952, Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah wrote that natural phenomena in the Holy Quran was prominent, and he hoped that Muslim nations would champion the teachings of modern science. He was also the founding patron and vice chancellor of Aligarh University. In reference to it, he wrote, "We want many Aligarhs where science and religious philosophy and education are blended in one atmosphere, realizing that God of the Quran is the one whose ayats are the universe." Our next segment is on Islam and science.
In modern times, our Imams have continued to emphasize the Shia interpretation of Islam as a reflective faith. In our tradition, the human intellect is recognized as a precious gift. Muslims are reminded to reflect upon the divine signs, ayats, whether they are found in the revelation or in the natural world, so as to better understand the mystery of Allah's creation. Indeed, the very first revelation issued to the Holy Prophet was the command to read. The Quran speaks highly of those who have knowledge. Say, how can those who know be equal to those who do not know? Numerous hadiths also emphasize the importance of knowledge, such as, whoever follows a path in search of knowledge, God will guide him to a path leading to paradise. And the seeking of knowledge is obligatory for every Muslim. The teachings of the Quran, the Holy Prophet, and of our Imams both remind and encourage believers to acquire knowledge, not only as a means of understanding God's creation, but also to better serve it. For many Muslim societies of the past, the true purpose of scholarship and the gift of reason was to help build society and guide human aspirations. This aspiration led to the flowering of learning cultures from the universities of Al-Azhar and Dar al-Ilm in Fatimid Ismaili Cairo to their counterparts in Baghdad, Cordoba, Bukhara, Samarkand, and other Muslim centers. As a result, the sciences flourished in different domains, including mathematics, chemistry, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Maulana Hazri Imam has often spoken about the role of the intellect in the realm of faith. In his inaugural address at the Aga Khan University, he said that there is knowledge revealed through the Prophet, peace be upon him, and knowledge that man discovers through the use of his intellect. These are complementary, not contradictory, but this process of discovery requires humility. To quote, "Indeed, one strength of Islam has always lain in its belief that creation is not static, but continuous, that through scientific and other endeavors, God has opened and continues to open new windows for us to see the marvels of His creation." End quote. The Imam has said that Muslims need not be apprehensive of these continuing journeys of the mind to comprehend Allah's creation, including one's own self. He considers it a requirement of the faith that Muslims continue to cross the frontiers of knowledge through scientific and other endeavors and address the challenges arising today.
Our next segment covers an exciting weekly rundown of global news on emerging technology, scientific trends, and other extraordinary advancements. Narrated by artificial intelligence, these stories have been handpicked just for you.
Chinese scientists have built a revolutionary plane engine, enabling aircraft to reach anywhere in the world within 2 hours. A prototype of the engine was tested in a hypersonic wind tunnel in Beijing, and the results suggested unprecedented performance in terms of thrust, fuel efficiency, and operational stability. Planes equipped with the engine can take off horizontally before accelerating into orbit around the Earth. The engine has a relatively simple design, consisting of a single-stage air inlet, a hydrogen fuel injector, and a combustion chamber. The new design offers the best hope so far in taking commercial flight to hypersonic speeds. Universal has announced a February 4th opening for the Japanese edition of Super Nintendo World in Osaka. Guests will be able to visit attractions with augmented reality glasses and interact with the virtual world using a power-up band that can be purchased for around $30. Universal had originally planned to open the park in the summer to coincide with the Summer Olympics in Tokyo, but both events were postponed due to the pandemic. Electronic skin could play an important role in next-generation personalized medicine, prosthetics, AI, and soft robotics. The ideal e-skin would mimic the natural functions of human skin, such as sensing and touch, while being flexible and durable. A team of scientists has developed a durable e-skin using a hydrogel reinforced with silicon nanoparticles and a 2D titanium carbide scene sensing layer bound together with highly conductive nanowires. The E-skin's conductive pathways to the sensor layer remain intact even when the material is stretched to 28 times its original size. It can sense objects from 20 centimeters away and respond to stimuli in less than 1/10 of a second. Cultured meat, produced in bioreactors without the slaughter of an animal, has been approved for sale by a regulatory authority for the first time. The chicken bites, produced by the US company Eat Just, have passed a safety review by Singapore. This could open the door to a future when all meat is produced without the killing of livestock. Dozens of firms are developing cultivated chicken, beef and pork, with a view to slashing the impact of industrial livestock production on the climate and nature crises, as well as providing cleaner, drug-free and cruelty-free meat. Experimental drug called ISRIB has been shown in laboratory studies to reverse age-related declines in memory and mental flexibility in mice. ISRIB has extremely rapid effects, working in just days. The speed of the drug's effects suggest that age-related cognitive losses may be caused by a reversible blockage rather than permanent degradation.
Thank you again for watching this week. We have heard today that STEM education means to instill a sense of curiosity. This can be done by pointing out interesting things all around us, from rainbows to bees pulling pollen from flowers, or dung beetles rolling balls. From opening the bonnet of a car and looking at the engine, to how the wind makes clouds zip through the sky, or how waves cause ripples on the sand at the beach. Our exploration continues next week, and we look forward to seeing you for the next episode. Finally, let's hear what Maulana Hazimam said about education.
But above all, it is my hope that these schools will stimulate creativity, intellectual curiosity, and honest inquiry so that their students can adapt and thrive in a world of rapid change, can make informed judgments on life's daily challenges, and place those judgments in an ethical framework.